morning, everybody. Welcome to Primetime at the BU Library. We're happy to have you here. Just a heads up, there will be a few more presentations this semester. Upcoming events are the Edgar Scholar and a report from the people who went on the Sankofa trip over spring break. Today we have Alennah Westlund reporting on her time at Richmond, the American International University in London. She will be presenting on her expectations versus reality in her time in London.
Hey, hi guys, I'm Alennah Westlund and I'm a junior here at Bethel. I was in London last semester in the fall, and so I'm going to talk about things that I thought before I went to London, sort of my expectations of my time there, and then what actually happened, which was very different. So I'm just going to give you a little background on where I actually went. I studied with AIFS, and they have universities all over the world, so I actually went to a university. It wasn't affiliated with Bethel. So I actually went to Richmond, the American University in London. So it's an American university, but it's very diverse. I had classes with people from all over the world, and every semester they bring in a chunk of American students, and they attend the school with a lot of other four-year students. So I got to meet a lot of different people. I was actually living in Kensington, London, which is sort of a posh area right outside of Westminster. I was just like a 5-stop tube ride from downtown Westminster, which is like where all of the kind of iconic things are, Big Ben, London Eye, etc. So before I went to London, I had kind of idealized these general things about what I was going to see, and I think that they are probably relatable to a lot of you. So to start, I'm just going to go through the basic things that I thought about when I was thinking about London. First, Big Ben, of course, which I saw many times. This was the clearest day in London that I had the entire time. It was very true that it was raining. The Olympics. I went right at the end of the Olympics. I actually was there for the Paralympics. And I was outside of the stadium when some of the events were going on. Iconic phone booths, of course. You have to take a photo there. Like I said before, this sort of ominous gloom that sort of just stays over all of their landmarks all the time, except for that one sunny day. And tea, of course. I only had high tea once, but that's what I thought of. So all of these pictures were sort of things that I had in my mind. No idea what my experience was going to be like, but that's what I was thinking. This was such a consistent theme throughout my entire time there that in my video production class, I actually did my final project on this idea. So I'm going to show that to you and sort of introduce general thoughts, and then we'll get into specifics. It all started when I decided to move to London. It took me forever to decide where I was going to study abroad, and finally, I chose an English-speaking country, of course. And I was really excited. For months and months, I was just stoked out of my mind to go. I mean, I was packed like a full month ahead of time. I started writing a blog enthusiastically before I even left, and it was all looking up. Like most study abroad students, I had a certain idea of what it was going to be like. But I'll be honest with you, London wasn't really at all what I expected it to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, London is a beautiful place. We really can't deny that. The nightlife, the culture, the food. Maybe not the food. Even though I had a ton of great experiences here, none of them were really like the experiences that I'd built up in my head. I thought I knew what life in London was going to be like. Man, was I wrong. Let me tell you a little story about the expectations I had for London, and then the reality of what actually happened. Before I came to London, I thought I was going to be super independent. Mom, I know it's hard for you to hear me on FaceTime, but I just want to come home. I don't like it here. Before I came to London, I thought I was going to travel like a beauty.
So, you mean we missed our bus to get to the train station, which means we missed our train to get to the airport, which means we missed our plane to go to Italy?
Before I came to London, I thought I was just going to guzzle British tea all the time. Before I came to London, I thought I was going to have this endless supply of cash. 20, 40, 60, 65, 70. Before I came to London, I didn't think I was going to have to do any schoolwork.
What do you mean this paper is worth 95% of my grade?
And most importantly, of course, before I came to London, I thought I'd meet a British man and fall madly in love.
Well, I'll be back in like 27 days. I mean, we could totally get back together.
Don't get me wrong, I've loved London. I've had experiences here that I'll never forget. And some of the best ones, I didn't even plan on having. After all, life isn't always what we experience. Okay, so that's a little humorous version of the expectations I had and the reality of what happened. But it's a nice intro into what I'm actually going to talk about. I'm going to look at 3 areas, first being academics. Before I left for London, you could pretty much ask anybody who talked to me, I thought it was going to be a breeze. I was like, I'm not going to have to do any work, all of these expectations are going to be really low, I'm studying abroad, so I'm just going to hang out. And I didn't really think about all of these extracurricular things that I would be doing, like being in London or traveling. I didn't really see that going with my actual studies. So, unfortunately, what I thought was not at all true. The reality was I was in London. All the time there was something better to do than my homework. And like, you can think that here when you're at Bethel and the Twin Cities are great, but you are in an entirely different culture. I could hop on the tube and go to Big Ben every day if I wanted to. And there are crazy experiences that are waiting to be had, and you just don't want to do the work. I also wasn't, a lot of the people that I talked to beforehand had gone abroad with Bethel, through Bethel programs, and those are great, and do that if you want. This is good too, but it was, for those programs, your academics are integrated into a lot of the travel that you're doing, so you don't have, it's not your job to personally separate out, this is when I'm traveling, this is when I'm going to do my homework. So I was really not prepared for the fact that I was going to a real university. There were real professors. There were 4-year students who this was a legitimate thing for them. They're here their whole time. And I had to be in classes with them. I had to engage with them. I had to keep up with my work. Another thing that I think I didn't really think about is that their system is entirely different. Unless you study abroad, not abroad and in America, it's going to be very different. Their grading was very, very, I think it was better, but it was very different. I was used to getting A's. I was always shooting to have a 4.0, and it was like just amazing if you were getting B's or B pluses there, which was very difficult for me to understand. Their type of work was also very different. Here at Bethel and in America, we are, we have daily homework, we have daily assignments, we are constantly tested with quizzes and small tests about our knowledge. But in England, you have 3, maybe 4 big assignments the entire semester. So you are doing the only things that you're doing are worth at least 1/4 of your grade, if not more, which is very intimidating to someone who's used to having 10-point assignments, and you have hundreds of them, so it doesn't really matter. The worst thing about that is that all of these giant assignments are due in the last third of your semester in all of your classes. So you do pretty much nothing for 2.5 months, and you're like, oh, this is great. I don't have to do work. I don't have to read. All I have to do is talk about my thoughts. And then suddenly you have 20-page papers and huge projects and exams in all of your classes that you're studying for and preparing for all at the same time, which is difficult. Expectations, I also, like I said before, anticipated that there would be lax expectations, that I was studying abroad, so people would, just cut me some slack. Oh, you didn't finish that, it's fine, you're a grad student. But not at all. There were four-year students with me, and I had to keep up with them. It didn't matter where I came from. It was just a real university with real professors. The second topic I want to touch on is the secular expectations that I had. Richmond is a secular university. I went to a public high school and public school all of my life, so I'm not foreign to not being in a private school. But I really wasn't prepared for the difference collegiately for a private university and then going to public. I was expecting it to be really easy to separate myself from what I didn't want to be involved in and what I wanted to be involved in. I really didn't think I was going to be confronted with any issues of drinking. If I didn't want to participate, I thought that it would be really easy for that not to be a problem for me. And I thought that it was going to be really easy to connect with everybody. I'm a little introverted, so I don't tend to connect with people super easily immediately, but I was still expecting to find commonalities because it was so diverse and there were so many people from different backgrounds, so obviously there are opportunities for connections. The reality of what I saw was that you are completely immersed in all the cultures. You're completely immersed in the study abroad culture. The students that come over from America as a unit, that is very much its own culture. Then you have the culture of the secular university, and then you have all of those things within a British culture. So you have all of these layers that you can't get away from. You are completely and utterly immersed in that, and I found it very difficult, especially at the beginning, to sort of find my way and feel out how other people were going to act, the issues I was going to be faced with, none of which I was ready for, and I didn't realize that was going to be a problem. Drinking is obviously an issue everywhere with people in college, but again, I saw it as a very separate thing. If I am not going to have a problem with this, I'm not going to engage in this, I'm not going to have to deal with it. When you are on a campus with study abroad students, a lot of whom are not 21 in the U.S., the culture that you are in is no longer, I would consider it no longer a very safe culture. You don't have very many options when there is a majority of people when that is their focus. And drinking is a very part of the British culture in a much better way than it is here in America, and a lot more moderation, and it's accepted and normal, and people do it well. But the American students as a whole really struggled with that idea and kind of brought their thoughts from America into that and really dove into it, and that was very difficult for me to get away from, especially when I lived in a regular dorm, just sort of like our freshman dorms, so I had a roommate I didn't know, I had a whole hall of girls, and guys actually, who were all doing this, and you can't escape it at all. And then, as I said before, there was just a limited population of people that I connected with. On so many levels. Next, I'm going to talk about my spiritual expectations. That was obviously a huge factor. But also, I was there to experience London. I was there to experience their culture. I was here sitting, wanting to go to museums at night. People wanted to go, clubbing into bars, and it was very hard to find people who had similar interests, similar goals for their time there. And I ended up doing a lot of stuff by myself, which was helpful. And I grew out of that, but it was really not at all what I was prepared for. So the last section, my spiritual expectations. This sort of ties into this idea of going to a secular university. But before I left, I was pretty much banking on, as soon as I got there, I would find Christians that I would connect with. I was like, God will put, these two great people down the hall, and we will hang out, and it will be awesome, and we will just, do our thing. But that's not really how it was. My other really big expectation, that was probably one of my biggest problems over there, was that I was like, yes, this is my first experience really far away on my own. My family lives in Mounds View, and we're very connected with Buckle, so I've been here all my life. I'm very close to home. So I was like, this is my first experience. I'm going to be all on my own. I'm going to experience my faith, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to be this awesome Christian, and I'm going to come back, and be a better Christian, and it's going to be awesome. And I was just so excited. But again, not really how things panned out. Not that I'm a bad Christian now, but it didn't really happen the way that I expected it to. As I said before, I was in the significant minority. I think I met one Christian the entire time. Oh, two. Scratch that, two. One I was connected with prior to. So, but I was always in the minority. I didn't really have opportunities to talk about my faith, especially in the classroom, which I was really not used to, being at Bethel, where we have such an open way of talking about that. It's such a big part of our academics. It was a very big change. That was hard. I mean, I couldn't even bring it up in the classroom. It was not appropriate. And my other saving grace the first week I was there, I saw that we had a Bible study at our university, and I was like, yes, this is God giving me those two people. We are going to be the little Christian group. But I got to this Bible study, and it was me and one other girl who ran the program. So we had a really nice connection. She was very, very cool. But again, that was something that was given out to the entire university. You know, everybody had the opportunity to go, and there were two of us. So, you know, we had a good study. We read out loud books of the Bible, which was very fun, and then discussed them, which, you know, is unique. But again, it was really not at all what I was expecting. Not at all what a Bible study is here about. And then the last thing, which I said before was probably the biggest deal. When I went over there, I had a plan of how I was going to change. I had a plan of how God was going to change me. I had a plan of how this experience was going to shape my entire faith walk. And for probably about 3/4 of the semester, I was on that plan. I was like, devotions, yes. Talk to my family at home, and talk about how hard of a time I was having with this area, yes. But that was, again, all my plan. And I didn't see until probably about 3/4 of the way through that it wasn't really about me at all. And I grew, and I saw what I was capable of on my own, but it wasn't really through me. The entire semester I was trying to be independent and strong and all of these things that I thought I achieved. And then you realize that you really haven't achieved anything, and these plans that you have for yourself are not helpful, because they're not the best, because they're not God's plans. So I think through kind of letting a little bit of myself go, I grew exponentially in my faith and my ability to rely on God and rely on other people who have God in their lives, which I don't think I had been taking advantage of. Well, I had been taking advantage of the fact that they were there, but I wasn't taking advantage of what they had to offer. So, in closing, overall, studying abroad wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And if there are those of you who are here because you want to study abroad, maybe, I would say it's almost impossible to go in without any expectations, but that is what you want to strive for. You have no idea what's going to happen over there, no matter where you go. And even in a place where it's London and it's English and, you know, it seems like it's going to be really similar, you seem like you're going to have a, you know, normal life, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, but it's great, so do it. The reality of the expectations that I had before, I think, kind of hindered the experiencing of the reality when I was actually there. It took me a lot longer to actually be in the moment, be in the reality of my experience, because I had these expectations and I was trying to work through, you know, why isn't it the same? Why am I having these problems? I'm a planner, so before I left, I was like, I'm going to have these feelings, this is when I'm going to feel them, and this is how I'm going to deal with them. And I didn't do any of that. But it worked out okay in the end. I think the main thing is that when you're studying abroad, it really seems on the outside like this really fantastic thing that's really exciting. I had so many people tell me, oh, you're so lucky, you get to go travel in Europe for 4 months. But when you're studying abroad, I mean, London was my reality. Even if it's a glimpse looking back, those 4.5 months, for that time, my reality, my life was in London. And that's something that you have to seriously deal with when you're in it. It's really great to look back and look forward to, but when you're in it, it's hard to, kind of separate all of your feelings and actually experience what you're doing. I think total, I built an entirely new appreciation for actually experiencing things. When you get caught up in expectations, I saw that you're not really living. You're either disappointed or you're only fulfilled. And there's only the point where you just kind of open yourself up, let whatever happen, experience what you're experiencing, that you have some of the best times in your life, which is what I had in London. So, that's it. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
I know you said in the video that you did for your class that it took you a really long time to decide where to go and study. How did you decide on London eventually?
Initially, to be honest, what I said at the beginning of my video was true. I was looking for an English-speaking country. But also, once I decided that I was going to go somewhere that spoke English, because I don't know any other languages, I really loved AIFS's program. They had a lot of the classes that I needed. I was a comm major, and 4 out of my 5 classes transferred directly for my major courses. So AIFS was really, really great about that, and they do a really good job of connecting you, and they have a lot more opportunities than what I saw at other places. So, yes.
Hey, my name's Jack.
Hi, Jack.
What was the best trip that you took outside of London?
Outside of London. I went to Wales on an adventure weekend, and we went coasteering, which if you don't know what that is, it is jumping off cliffs into the ocean. I jumped off a 30-foot cliff, which is probably one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. It was so fun. I went surfing, and we went on an 8-mile coastal hike. So it was very active. I live in the city. I'm not used to living in the city, so getting out and doing stuff was amazing. And Wales is beautiful. So I went to Paris too, which I love. So that was great. Also, go to the Eiffel Tower. Yes.
Inevitably, you'll have some expectations. Do you have recommendations to people for how to get those expectations a little closer to what they might experience?
Yeah, I think beforehand, this is going to be hard, do your best to not listen to what other people say. Which obviously, it's very natural for us to do that. But I think I only had one person before I left tell me that it was going to be hard. And tell me that some of the days were going to suck. And a lot of people don't know what you're going to experience, so you shouldn't listen to what they think is going to happen, because they don't know any more than you do. I think the other thing is I didn't do a very good job when I got there of kind of processing the fact that I was there. And I think whenever you go, as soon as you get there, you're going to be very caught up in what's happening. This is all new. This is all very exciting. And you just go, 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 go. I mean, we had a week of orientation where I was just constantly on the run. I mean, you don't have time to do anything else. So sitting down for even 5 minutes and like establishing, I made it. I'm actually in London. Like, this is my life now. I think that would have been helpful sort of moving forward to sort of adjust what I was thinking prior.
Yeah. Was there any aspect of the culture or of your experience that you were able to just kind of really embrace, whether it was like taking the tube everywhere, just, I mean, little things like that, or eating fish and chips, or on a larger level? I mean, was there something that you, I guess, really miss right now that you loved being able to do frequently when you were there?
Yes. You could walk everywhere, which is the opposite of what we do here. I was just talking to my mom about that last week, how I have to get in the car and go places. But like, I would just step out of my little dorm room, and right down the street we had 2 giant shopping areas where you could get anything. And then the tube was like a 5-minute walk where you could get anywhere. And that is amazing. It's like that in a lot of other big cities, but I think that's what I loved, because I live in a suburb and you have to drive everywhere. It's faster, it's more fun, you get more exercise, and there was a Starbucks like a block away. So that was ideal. Yeah. Yeah.
If you were to do it again, would you go to another non-affiliate university, or would you go with that?
I would do exactly what I did again. I don't know. I haven't been on a Bethel trip, so I don't know that. But I really liked that I was by myself. I mean, I hated that I was by myself, but that was the best thing that I could have asked for. That was ideal for me. Yeah.
You really analyzed before you went what your expectations were. I'm wondering when you were still in London, if you got concerned, did you think about expectations about how people would be when you got there?
Yes, I did, quite a bit, especially after I did this project and I established all of this. First of all, I missed my family so much, so I was very excited to see that. So I was, again, I think I was a little bit blinded. But I did definitely do a better job of preparing myself that it was going to be difficult. Reverse culture shock is very real. It is not just a term that we like to throw out. It actually happens. And I think one of the hardest things coming back is that nobody else experienced your experience. I think that's one of the things that's very different when you go on a Bethel trip. You have all of these people, you have a network, you have a group that you can talk about, you know, these amazing things we did, these many places we traveled. I have a couple friends that came back to the States, but no one else experienced your experience, and that's a very, very difficult thing to process. But I definitely think that I did a better job of preparing myself for that when I came back.
I guess when I think of London, I think of like experience like the British culture. Did you like make a lot of like British friends? It's like what I'm like one of my expectations if I was going to London
Yes.
would be like the accents and things
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes. I met British people. I didn't make a ton of British friends. One of the, I think, downsides to going through AIFS was that we were with a group of American students. So you're living with Americans in London.
Yeah.
Which is very different. I would say I met more people from around the world than I did from actual England because it was an international university. But British people are very friendly. If you go out to a pub, which you do if you're there, people will talk to you and be very nice. So if you want to go to London and meet British people, they will welcome you with open arms.
In what way do you think you changed the most from having that experience of studying abroad?
I think in general, I guess this is sort of a bad answer, but I just appreciate my life. I knew before I left that I had really great family and really great friends and a really great place here at Bethel. But when you're taken out of your entire life and you have nothing that is your life except you, I mean, I lived in a dorm, I didn't bring anything. I had clothes, and I brought like 4 shirts. When you don't have anything, you realize what you have in your normal life, and just that, the reality of that, I have that every day. I mean, I get to live with my best friend. My parents live 10 minutes away. That is, I think, something that I took for granted, just on a monumental scale, that I hope I no longer, or at least I realize that I am doing it now.
You were saying you had this like expectation you were gonna travel a ton. Did you get to travel as much as you would have hoped, or was it way too expensive? Or
Yes, I went to 8 countries. I was on a trip almost every weekend. I did get to travel. Through AIFS, my university, they had a lot of school trips, so they planned them for you and you went in a group of like 20. But also, as I said before, it's really cheap to fly out of London. There are 3 airports and it's really easy to get places. So I know a lot of people that traveled, you know, independently, and I did that a few times as well. I was very, very satisfied with that part of my trip. Yeah, I had a lot of really good opportunities. So London is a great place to travel from.
were like the trips through AIFS? Were they like?
No, they are through. They're through my university, so they were through Richmond. So you were with Richmond students, which was also fun because you were with international students. I found that when I did travel on my own, the trips I went on a group with were actually cheaper. So I don't know how that is at other universities, but that was a very cost-effective way. And you don't have to plan things. You don't have to navigate traveling in other countries who don't speak French or German.
In your class video, you alluded to the fact that at one point you maybe missed a train that made you miss a bus, that made you miss a plane. Did that happen?
Not to Italy, but I did miss a lot of transportation in general. When I was first trying to figure out the tube, Earl's Court is one stop away from where I lived, and at the places where I'm used to, they're like you get on. Okay, it's complicated, but you get on all the lines like just from one platform, and at this place there were like 8 platforms, and I went there like 4 different times. I got really lost. But that did not happen, no. Thankfully. Okay, last call. Okay, thanks so much for coming, guys. I really appreciate it.